So the solutions to food security systems, so the levels at which innovations can support the food systems. So we have classified this into three. So the first one is on the production. And on production, we are looking at the adaptive crop varieties and animal breeds, whether they are suited to the weather and the climatic conditions, or they are tolerant to the diseases, be it crops or livestock based. And then we are also looking at the climate smart technologies and push-pull and cover cropping. Number two is on post-harvest handling of these innovations. So we have been talking about, like in the East African region where I work a lot, we have had a challenge of aflatoxin, and this has been a major challenge. So we had a project through a German university and a research institution called the Max Rubner Institute. So what we did was to have different technologies that can be used to manage this aflatoxin infestation. But you know, that readiness of the farmers to take up this technology has been the key aspect to really look at. Then the other level at which the innovation can support the food system is on soil and water conservation. So do we have these innovations sorting out the irrigation aspects, the minimum tillage, conservation agriculture, and regenerative agriculture? So there has been a lot in terms of this natural and ecosystem conservation around innovations, but we really have all of us participating. Then the solutions for successful agricultural innovation supports the food system. We thought as an institution that it would be important to earmark the solutions for successful agri-innovations so that at the end of this forum, we are then able to come up with some of the successful support food system. So number one is youth inclusivity. So there is a bigger potential to integrate innovations in agriculture. For example, digitization. So if you engage more youth in agriculture, then you would be digitizing. There is a more likelihood to be successful on digitization of agriculture. Number two is building strategic partnerships that brings together value chain actors. So by being strategic in terms of bringing together the actors, then you would be getting the right partners to support the food system. Then number three is knowledge and information packaging for better palatability to the farmers. What do I mean when I speak about knowledge and information packaging? So we are talking about the research institution, for example, the academia. That professor in Sokoine University, that professor in Nairobi University, or in whichever, or University of Ghana, or whatever, they have produced a paper and a publication. How do you have that packaged very well in a palatable manner that the farmers would even understand? Then number four is on the formation of well-structured frameworks for technical capacity building for the farmers on specific innovations. Then number five is the proper resource allocation and use to allow exploration of innovations. Now, the youth are here. They have a lot of technologies, innovations. They have studied agriculture. They are all these technologies, but do they have the opportunity to even practice that in the land? So in the sub-Saharan Africa, the youth go to the university, they study agriculture. When they come home, they look at agriculture as an activity that they wouldn't want to get engaged in because of the nature of the structures that do exist, especially around land. Then policy support and goodwill by the national governments on innovations. So who leads this steering committee, for example, in Parliament? Do they have goodwill? The steering committee, and this is a discussion that has always happened, especially on the IALA assembly, the region, where the agriculture committee, each country would have its own policies, and then harmonizing then takes a lengthy process. It might, yes, lead to some good results, but it will have taken a lot of time. So what are we saying? There has to be goodwill. So the opportunities by the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation and the International Land Coalition Africa have presented some opportunities. So we have the regional and the national platforms on different concepts on land matters in line with the UN Decade of Family Farming and the Sustainable Development Goals. So for example, we as the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation are running a platform dubbed the Regional Platform Number 2, which supports small-scale farmers for promoting people-centered land governance through equitable land distribution and public investments that support small-scale farming. So this platform is able to mobilize, connect, and influence the actors on family farming or small-scale farmers. So those photos there you see really demonstrate, a mobilization and a connection between those actors. So the International Land Coalition has 12 regional platforms. So one of the platforms which I have highlighted green is the small scale and the family farming platform, which we run as an institution. So all these exist in different countries, and it is important to say that these platforms are very important to really have a collaboration on and work together to achieve these food systems, because most of them would be talking about issues around equal women for land rights, youth, and the different national land coalitions. So how does each of the platforms work? So they have a strategy, they have highlighted some thematic areas, then there is a stakeholder consultation, gender equity, advocacy, climate change resilience and advocacy, and then capacity building and partnership collaborations. So we have highlighted the institutional support areas by this regional platform. So number one is the youth and women inclusion, which I have mentioned, the climate change resilience and adaptation, where new innovations needs to be incorporated, then capacity building and knowledge creation, where we are talking about the learning and exchange visits, and then partnership and collaboration. So with that, I would want to end this presentation here, but most importantly, let us think about how we can translate what we do as research institutions, farmer organizations, and other actors. So what can we do together so that we are able to have such a happy farmer as is indicated in that particular slide? So I would pause here for questions, if any. Thank you very much. Questions, please?
Thank you very much for the beautiful presentation. My name is Henry Ndawe from the Kingdom of Eswatini. One of the critical issues for farmer organizations and our farmers is the lack of innovative financing mechanisms for their operations and infrastructure development. My question would be, what do you have in place to deal with that problem? Because particularly for the youth who may not have accumulated financial resources to start agri-businesses, what do you have in place to support them? An innovative mechanism for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Soyingbe Ndaniku from the World Vegetable Center. I work as a gene bank manager. So my question is, about what solutions work well and under which enabling factors? Because as you know, for the youth, the opportunities are should mainly be income generation to make the agribusiness attractive to them. So in that perspective, if you could share experiences from the region so that we explore together how that motivates the youth. Thank you.
Okay, hi. Thank you for the amazing presentation. I'm Laila from Egypt. I'm the head of product in an agriculture technology company. And one problem we've really faced when we were doing the science of it all, we have the technical stuff figured out, the hardware, the software, but we've been facing a lot of issues finding scientific data to back up our solutions. For example, prediction models, data sets that have to do with the crops grown, things like that. And we know that this exists in research. And most of the time, the research is, as you've said, sent or used to educate the farmers or the people, but no one really focuses on other stakeholders like us, a tech company, for example. So how can this challenge be faced? And do you know of any, I would say, a way for us to be able to access this data? Thank you.
We take the last step. Oh. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I came in fairly late to your message, but let me say this. My name is Sierra Manderpaya. I work with the Technologies for African Agricultural Transformation coordinated by IITA. I noticed that in Africa we have a very good pockets of technologies in many places. But our coming together to get these technologies to be able to be scaled out to the end users who desperately need it is very limited. How do you advise on a way forward of finding a networking situation where all of us who are jointly involved into this scaling can have a forum where we actually are able to vet technologies together, come together to scale them? And you see, I see very large youth in Africa, which many times people think is a problem, but I think our youth is our strength. I'm sure that if we can put hands together and make the agriculture a little more friendly and remove the drudgery, this large population will be so useful in expanding agriculture across the various value chains that we can actually make great impact in Africa. So I look forward to possibilities of partnerships. Currently, I'm based in Nairobi. I'll be coordinating TAT in the East African region. And I look forward to seeing partners that we can work together to see that we're able to scale our technologies to make our farmers much more productive. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. I think we are reading from the same page. And I would want to say this for the first question. So you are talking about the lack of innovation, innovative farming mechanisms, what we have in terms of the innovations and the youth. I think the youth look at the innovations in terms of the value. So anytime there is a discussion about the youth engagement, it is very important to look at the value of how that happens and how the agri-innovations are uptaken. So I would really want to respond this way, that we need to build models that really bring about the value in terms of what becomes the profitability, what the youth would really want to hear. This modernization, we have at the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, we have what we call the e-granary platform. This e-granary platform is a web-based application. So it is actually a farm-to-fork innovation where we have onboarded different stakeholders. So there are those involved in production. There are also those involved in marketing. Then there are those involved in post-harvest handling. So what we do is, so we first get a forward contract. So if it is a specific value chain, So we have first started by getting the market, then we have a big contract. Then, of course, we work backwards now to mobilize and put together youths and farmers around those particular value chains. They are not in a position to do the production without having the formal agreement, which is a very good thing if you think about it, because the biggest challenge we have in the East African region, and even this would also happen even in other regions, the West and then the South Africa, is the aspects around the price. And most of these crops of value chains are political crops. Take an example of maize, for example, in Kenya, where I come from. You find, even with those contracts, farmers would still side sell or they would breach the contracts. The reason is, we as institutions, we try to support that. But at the end of the day, you still find the government gives another price. And the farmer already has a contract that is binding. But you cannot force them, because at the end of the day, the farmer would be left to decide where they want to sell their produce. The question from the World Vegetable Center on the regional experience. So the regional experience is, I think youth are a special group. And I know seated here, we have research institutions, the academia, and the universities. Actually, if there was a professor who would stand here and speak to us today, he would tell us how the courses related to agriculture, actually the youth do not like those courses. So the students are actually not doing agriculture because of the nature of how things have been. So there is no motivation to do agriculture. If I share my story about agriculture, for example, in one of the universities that I've had the opportunity to teach, you realize these youth, they come to the university, they have been admitted to do an agriculture course, but they end up changing, not because the course is bad, but because of the perception already in agriculture. So to change that mindset, I think would be very important. The lady from Egypt, so you're talking about scientific data and how this could be accessed. We've spoke about the stakeholders' partnerships and being strategic. When it comes to data, each of the countries would have its own restrictions around access to that. But it is important to really be very strategic and partner with institutions that are already doing something. I think through that, we are able to unlock and ensure that that data is made available. But as to say, you just get to an institutions and get the data, I don't think that would happen without having a formalized memorandum of understanding or a non-disclosure agreement, because even from where I sit, from the data that we do have, because we are representative of 40 million farmers in the East African region, we have the database, but that we will only share that after we have a formalized MOU. So it's something that we've built a partnership ecosystem around, and we are very, we actually adhere to the country, each country's restrictions and the legislative processes. Then I think the comment, the last comment around IITA and the technology, I think yours were more of comments. And I don't need to respond to these because I think partnership is key. As we sit here as stakeholders, actors in different institutions, it is very important to have us work together so that let's not operate in silos. And I normally tell the actors around the food system, because your contribution as an institution becomes very important after you have good working relationship with other institutions. You cannot solve a problem alone, but by working together, you're able to unlock all those barriers around issues of even the smallholder farmers and the food security. The Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, and I thought this is important to share, actually pushed the cooperative bill in Parliament in the year 2014, which was passed by the East African Legislative Assembly. So what did this mean? It meant that the farmers were getting into a formal arrangement so that then they are able to even access finances, they are able to sell in bulk or sell as a group or as a cooperative, where then they would even make better money in terms of the income. They are able to reduce on exploitation. So I think I want to leave it at that. Unless there is one more burning question, then I would be very happy to take that.
Thank you. So my name is Clarisse Boramazina. I'm working at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. My question was actually more based on what you just said regarding the cooperatives, and so aggregating farming practices to support farmers who are mostly in Africa smallholder farmers in less than 5 hectares. And there was a question that I don't know if you managed to respond. It was about innovative finance. So allowing small-scale farmers to access finance. And I was wondering if these cooperatives allow small-scale farmers to access those funds that they need to manage their land. I was also wondering about land rights and if cooperatives support small-scale farmers who are not owning the land, if they are able to then pay a fair price for renting, and what kind of social protection they receive from these cooperatives, because then that will create more incentives, I guess, for farmers to organize. So yeah, those questions, thank you.
Should attend my presentation tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Canon Savala. I work with the African APNI. Now, I just want to give a comment on data. There is if you're interested in soils data, especially on crop nutrition, there's a consortium, the Consortium for Precision Crop Nutrition, CPCN. I'm actually the coordinator, and it's working on soils data in Africa in conjunction with the CGIR under the EAI umbrella, IFA, and also APNI. So you're welcome to check on. Thank you.
Thank you for responding to that and commenting on that. I think APNI are based in Nairobi, right? Yeah. Okay, so cool. So the aspect of the cooperatives and the farmer practices that you're talking about, whether the cooperatives have provided an opportunity to sort a bit of the challenges, especially around land rights, the land rates, and all that. So I would want to answer it this way, that us as an institution, we have the regional platforms with the International Land Coalition, which I've talked about. So with the partnership that we have with the International Land Coalition and the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation, we have the different cooperatives. Of course, the 40 million farmers are actually organized and associated to certain cooperatives. So what does that mean? So it means that anytime we want to give or we want to reach out to them, technically through technical capacity, extension service provision, what we do is it's done through the cooperatives. So part of the programs, so we try and integrate, aspects around the land rights. And we work, the way we work is we always invite different actors to also support and provide more information to these particular cooperatives, and also to even further the agendas on those platforms that are indicated, the different platform, be it on youth inclusivity. And MACU, there is the strategy, which becomes the guiding principle around each of the land-related, the International Land Coalition platforms. So it's true, we really try as much as possible to have these innovative finances being accessed, of course, through the cooperatives, because we can really demonstrate to the financiers and even the donors to fund the cooperatives because we have an enhanced model. And you and me know that for an institution, a financial institution to provide some financing, they have to have really been, there's a demonstration of a business model, which some of the cooperatives would have piloted, of course, through our support, or if they are at the startup level, then we have to really vet them and even do what we call the institutional capacity assessment, just to make sure that they meet the requirements. Thank you. Any comments? Not questions now. So I'll give a slot for 3 comments. There's another one there. Comments, eh?
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Kunambi. My comment is this. We are moving towards self-sufficient moves. Africa now is trying to be more sufficient in food production. But there's something that we really need to clear. We have made some innovation in technology. We are trying to look for markets. We are using more sophisticated means in production. But I think we have forgot a part of seeds. We have been a huge advocates in criticizing these GMOs seeds, genetic modified seeds. We have been a good advocate of criticizing these seeds. But I think the time has reached for us to try to do something. We are not making sense criticizing some stuff without making alternatives. We need to show a serious investment in alternatives means if it's really, if GMO seeds are really a problem. Because it's really tough to go and educate a farmer in Katavi or Mbinga to tell him that GMO seeds are not good while when he uses it, he gets more production. I think you get the point. That it's really tough to convince people like that. So we need to come up with some critical research. If the GMO seeds are bad, in what ways? And how can we use them in a good manner? Or how can we improve them to be more safe? So my comment is that through these innovations, we need to put in mind that segment. Thank you.
Thanks, Jean-Claude Rubiogo. I work for Alliance of Biodiversity International and CIAT. I lead the BIN program and PABRA. My question or comment, if I can use that, is this. I mean, everybody talks about the youth, we want to get the youth. But then, what are really the challenge which make the youth not to do what we want them to do? Or do we want, it's we who want them to do, they don't want it? In that case, if they don't own it, you have a challenge. Or what can we do to help them own that process we want them to do? Otherwise, we'll talk about the youth and we don't move. Yeah.
Thank you for those comments. So I would start with this very last one. I think several forums usually talk about the youth. And I've always thought around what do we need to do, the way you also are thinking about it. So first of all, as an institution, so what have we done as the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation? So we have different platforms I would want to just mention one called the African Youth Agripreneurs Platform. This AYA platform is a platform where we have all the youths. So it started with a project that was funded by World Bank. So we did a proposal around agribusiness support for the youth. Then we secured some funding. We trained the youth. So it was a project that really sought issues around technical capacity for the youth. How can they pitch? How can they do business plans? Then after doing that, and I would want us to maybe after this log into that platform. So what we did, from that ecosystem of the youth, because we were able to work with 12,000 youth. So all those youth, we registered them under the platform. Then we have continuously supported them. So we provide, of course, we matched. So we asked each of them to write a proposal on aspects of finance access. So they were giving their ideas in terms of what business they would want to engage in. Once they did that, then we were able to bring together now the stakeholders, the financial institutions. So if yours is like you're doing for a grant or you're doing for a loan, so we provided that technical backstopping to really make sure that their proposals really met the standard. Now, we did not stop there. So most of them, because I think they were able to access over 5 million USD for the different projects which they had fronted, we did not stop there. So we proceeded on, and currently we have what we call the innovation series. So the innovation series means in that particular platform, what do we do? So we always pose questions for the youth to highlight the different value chains and the agribusinesses that they want to be involved in. Then through that, we are able to tailor-make. So we've onboarded mentors and coaches, and then we are able to train them continuously. So with this, we are seeing a lot of impact, actually, for the youth in the East African region. And I would want to say this, that we have really seen a lot of success. Of course, there are challenges in the different countries, but the country that I would say is doing very well is actually Kenya, and then Rwanda, and Uganda. Djibouti, we had a bit of challenges because most of the youth really had very minimal technical capacity. And what we have done is then to ensure that we get the right mentors to mentor them. Then this other one on the seed aspects. I think it all starts with the seed. And anytime we talk about productivity, we need to look at the seed. There has been a lot of debates, of course, in Kenya around the GMOs. And I think there was an approval, which again brought in a lot of debates around whether this has to be accepted or not. I think to me, what I would say about the GMOs, and I would say this without fear of anything, that I think the GMO has to be, if the GMO product has to be accepted, then it has to really be very transparent in terms of how the overall process of producing it. If that was done in a manner that I as a consumer, or if the farmers are the ones who are going to use this, then we have to really have seen the entire process of how it has been produced, right from the production, the lab, to, you know, the food product. So it really has to capture all those aspects around how it is, the process, the entire process of how it is produced is very important. So I think I would commend that that way. I would recommend that as we do the different researchers, let's try as much as possible to really have this information available to the different agencies. Otherwise, I think I want to end there. Thank you very much, and I appreciate as I pass over to CGI. Thank you very much. In Nairobi, you can always pass by when you're in Kenya. We are headquartered in Westlands in Nairobi. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm not the moderator, just the next session. Right, right. Okay, they did a good job, yeah. You are not clapping for them, right? Right. Yeah, so the next session is about investment in smallholder systems. How do we make sure that they're the ones who are producing the food, what we eat, like in Africa? I think maybe 9 comes from the smallholder, 1 hectare, 0.5 hectare. But these people need investment as large scale, but sometimes they don't get it. So that's what we want to discuss with you this morning. My colleagues are preparing slides which we'll be sharing with you. But in brief, this is a session which was put together by different stakeholders, particularly co-authors from various universities in Africa, from CJR, particularly International Rice Research Institute, and CIAT as well, International Center for Tropical Agriculture Alliance with the Alliance of Biodiversity. We also have several private sector who put up effort together as well, and the national research institutions and universities. So maybe it's possible to get the slides up. So my name is Jean-Claude Rubiogo. As I introduced myself the other few minutes, I work for Alliance of Biodiversity International and CIAT. I lead the bean program, also the Pan-African Bean Research Alliance, based in Nairobi. But my background is in crop improvement, seed systems, technology transfer, and commercialization. So do you have the slides? Oh, okay. Yeah, right, yes. So we're talking about the research and development investment for smallholder-centered innovation in Africa. And this was, you can see I'm a bean person, but I opted to have a groundnut, so that's to show how neutral we are as well. Yeah. So it was put together by these authors. You could see from here, we have Abdu from Koraf, we have David Karanja from Kenya, we have Shemeris from University of KwaZulu-Natal, we have Mirindi Somana from One Acre Fund, we have Abdul Salam from Nigeria, we have Dorothy from University of Makerere, myself, Moses from Masareka, Ajay, who could have been with us but he could not come because of flight, Gloria, who is here, very powerful private sector, in Malawi, working on beans, Matete working with the ITA, and Omar Baba working also in Mali. Atu Biraro is around, he works on rice. I think you'll be able to see him too. And then Helen Kitty is a farmer in Kenya, a farmer in Rift Valley around Bomet, for those who are familiar with the Kenya, and buy a drop. And then Christine Negra has done a good job. I think it is online. She's working for UN Foundation based in DC and New York as well. So these are the people who put effort together in order to get this brief, which I will be sharing with you on how to invest in smallholder systems. Yeah, so there's our agenda for today. I'll welcome and introduce the two other colleagues. Ajay should have been with us. As I said, he missed the flight, so I take over from what he was supposed to do. Biraro will be talking about innovations 1 and 2, recommendation 1 and 2, and then Gloria as well, and then we'll sum up with the reflection and investment recommendation. And then Moses could not make it, so we'll also see how, and then after that we have questions and answers. Yeah, so if you look at probably the investment in innovation and agricultural innovation, it's not something linear. I think it was talked by my other colleagues. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, and then 2 + 1 = 3. It's a lot of various, you bring in innovation, definitely. I'm a bean person, so if I make several references on beans, don't just throw stone on me, right? I think all of you eat beans, right? How many people eat beans per day, at least every day? Only Oh, me, I eat 3 times a day, right? Breakfast, lunch, and supper. Yeah. So almost 180 grams per day. That's what you should be taking. Right, so if you have a variety as an innovation, so you bring a variety. In Kenya, we have a variety called Nyota, short duration, 65 days. You can imagine 65 days, you plant, you harvest. But then, don't think farmers will get it. Farmers say, well, it's good, it's short duration, it can help me, but where do I sell? So the market becomes important. But then the market they want is not just a market where you take 5 kilograms and sell. They need a profitable market. So how do you get a profitable market? How do you, so that next time, the seed you are talking about, she or he can go and buy seed without getting seed from the grain market. So you need to incentivize her. You need to bring in a seed systems. You need to bring in agronomy. You need to bring several other actors and the policy makers. Otherwise, sometimes when she goes to sell her beans, there's a roadblock or there is a tax somewhere, and then that tax may not be fair to the farmer. So there's a lot of implications. It's not just we have a technology, it has to embed within the situation. So that's, we say, it's not just something you can, okay, right. So, yeah, I was advised to stand here. So, smallholder-centered innovation are very important. They account for significant variation. You have to look at the biophysical and social. The farm size. Where I usually come from, originally from Rwanda. Rwanda average farm size is 0.6 hectare. And they have beans, they have maize, they have banana, they have household, they have everything. And that is 0.6. So what we did, we introduced climbing beans. Climbing beans are taller than I, like another one on top of me. So they produce from the bottom up. So in this case, it's 4 to 5 times the bush beans. So when you introduce them, but that technology needs staking because you need to put a pole. So a pole is difficult. Women carrying this pole is difficult. You need to get the men in. And the men have to be incentivized to be part of that game. So when we introduced it, they were not that highly commercial. But then we had to go to the breeding, drawing, so that we bring variety with the higher commercialization. So that commercialization incentivized the men to be the one looking for stakes and working with the women. You can see how a technology have to be the social component. Again, empowering smallholder, they are very, very good innovators. They are very good entrepreneurs. I think Gloria will talk about it too, not to. So Gloria will really be passionate about these local demonstrations and what is needed for them to have information and make use of that information. I think we'll talk about it. And then followed by capacity building, very, very important. So a technology staking, as again, come back to my beans, staking options is not that something you do. You need to tell people that, you need to inform people. If it's on rice, which I think my colleague Atto will talk about it. So rice also has technologies they will talk about as well. So again, this is very important so that you look at it, you look at how do I bring technology, how do you bring it in, how do I help the smallholder to move forward. So it's a lot of, somebody here was talking about, it's different actors coming together and then they can make use of it. So the first recommendation will be carried out by Atto Biraro. It's about capacity, capacity first. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm Atto Biraro. I'm a professional, I'm a breeder, but I work across the city, and in a small country in Africa, we it's like you support the other value chain. So actually, based on what we are talking about, what is very important, actually, for Africa, we know the diversity of the farms, but also we know there is a challenge with the difference in levels of technology across Africa. So our first recommendation is to build the capacity. That's very important for scientists, but also for other disciplines around that are working to support the farmers, because we want them to be resilient. And when we talk of capacity, it means it should be able to address the local context. In several disciplines, we find there has been a challenge in disseminating good technologies that have been developed because there is a problem with the translation. How are these innovations being translated into the real situation is difficult. So we need context specific, and this can be driven by local scientists. So, for example, my colleague talked about what is happening at the university, and sometimes we send also some of the best the students to study and get the best knowledge, but how do you apply it without having the right facilities, for example? So it should be context specific, but also how do we design, for example, extension messages, yeah? And how do we build the career of the farmers that we are talking about? So this is very, very important. So in this recommendation also, we think we need to improve the research facilities within Africa. I think when you go around in most of the universities, you don't find such kind of facilities. Also within a research system, we don't find. So investment becomes very, very, very important. And also, in order to have the climate resilience, as we said, the diversity in Africa requires specific approaches. So when you look at the programs that were initiated in some years back, there were cases where these centers of excellence, for example, in Tanzania, rice, we are better off in terms of research and development. So having a center of excellence in Tanzania makes sense also. It can have a spillover effect in other countries. And it has shown that by investing on rice research in Tanzania, it has been able to improve in terms of scientific capacity, but also by focusing on other avenues. So the key issue here, we are talking about strengthening centers of excellence where each country has the strength in terms of geographical, but biophysical and biophysical diversity, so that each in this context, that when you do make a kind of investment should be reflected. But the other thing is that we need to support the network, so that, because we have a diversified environment in Africa, unlike in other parts of the world. Africa, that there is diversity of climate condition, so it needs almost the year-round production, but also specific to only a few different crops within a small area. So if we can support these networks, for example, we talk of the bean network, the rice network, it can be able to have a spillover effect in other countries. But also, another issue that we are advocating is for improvement in the information system. Yeah, most of we have developed a number of applications that are meant to save farmers. Those are the targets, especially smallholder farmers. But how are these information being made available to farmers? Are they in the right language? Can people understand? Certainly no. So this is very key, that we need to really improve in terms of what kind of information that we are generating, but also what are the target people? Yeah? What are the infrastructure that we are putting across? It's like when we are talking of the youth. Yeah? Okay, we can have a good training, we give them the good knowledge, but are we designing the content in such a way that okay, the kind of investment, is it feasible? Can they make an investment? If not, then there will be no adoption, and that remains as a good case study, but for what? No, so, and the second recommendation, that in order to improve the adoption by smallholder farmers, it means also we need to have improvement on in terms of collaboration? What are the context are we looking at? Eh? How do we balance research, the basic to applied research, so that what is generated, the information, the technology that is generated, but also is able to reach to the farmers. Those are our targeted people. Now, also, how do we make sure that we are looking at, we have the right market? In most cases, we are looking for export market. But how do we make sure that we strengthen local consumption? For example, in the case when we have the pandemic, there was no movement of material from country to country. So how are we prepared for such shocks? So, which means it's very important to make sure that we also look at how do we strengthen the local market, but also the kind of advisory that we are giving to the farmers, are they the right one? So we need to have policy change that will also focus at how do we really create the kind of advisory. For example, in Tanzania now, we have, the government has provided mobile kits for soil testing, but also even motor vehicles to be able to move around. But now, how do they link, for example, how do they provide information where the internet connectivity is very expensive? Sometimes it's not even available. We are talking of the application that we are developing, but do we have internet where people can have access? Maybe it's still very expensive. So the kind of method they're looking at, make sure that what we are doing, if we're targeting the farmers, then it should be really reflected within the context that we are targeting. And the other issue is about the policy that we are developing. We need to make sure that these policies are really based on evidence, and they are really shared across by researchers, but also policymakers. At times, there are issues that happens. We find that most of the policies are developed without involving those who are supposed to be interpreting these kind of policies. The strategies that we have, I think, for example, in East Africa, almost all countries have national rice development strategies. But do we really have a clear interpretation of what is needed? How about the land tenure system? We are talking of linking farmers to financial institutions. But how do you, for example, get credit to financial institution while the land is not even seen as profitable to those lending institutions? Because it's not located in prime areas, there will always be the challenge. So we need to find other ways, to think of other ways. How do we really make sure that such kind of policies that we are developing, that kind of information that we're generating, are really going to make sense to smallholder farmers? For the third recommendation, I would like to invite my colleague, Gloria, to come and also share.
Give him a clap, right? Right. So before Gloria comes in,
de la porte.
she has done a tremendous good work in Malawi, which I'm asking you to open your eyes. Please open them very well. You're going to see a good video from her. Yeah, can you just... Gloria?
De la porte principale, vous tournez à droite. Vous allez voir les signes où sont les toilettes. De la porte principale, vous tournez à droite. Vous allez voir les signes. de la porte principale, vous tournez à droite. Vous allez voir les signes où sont les toilettes. De la porte principale, vous de la porte principale, vous tournez à droite.
What we are going to offtake. The big
And then thereafter, Gloria will give you a brief of her insight. Thanks. Yeah, sorry for really keeping you waiting. Yeah, we are very sorry.
Welcome to the farms. Come and see what is happening here. Here is early generation seeds. I want to just tell you about a little bit about Milele. It's an off-taker with a twist, with absolute great success. I say great success because now I can see the success through the multi-stakeholder platform. Milele has been in the business for the last 15 years in the legume and pulses, and before we would not have something like this, growing our own seed through partnership. We had great challenges because farmers all across were able to only grow what is available, but now we are driving them what to grow and what we are going to offtake. The biggest challenge is that farmers would grow any beans. You go to the market, it's mixed beans. Not only mixed beans, even after we grade, because we have an area in Kanengo for grading. The biggest challenge is that there is not even volume. Even if it's mixed, there is no volume. So it's a challenge to export, it's a challenge to grade. It takes a lot of time. So with this partnership, we are able now to drive the farmer in the right direction with the support, with the multi-stakeholder platform. You've heard me talk about multi-stakeholder platform, MSP. This is an initiative that was brought about by PABRA, where all the stakeholders, all the actors in the value chain are together, from processors, seed producers, off-takers, agrochemicals, researchers, scientists, even universities. We are directing them what to grow. At this point in time, that partnership is key. We never had an opportunity to sit even with scientists to tell them, can you change this? We just need them. These beans must remain light for a particular market. But now we have a say. We are adding to the table of the scientists, and they are able to do their job, knowing very well whatever they are producing, it will be produced by the seed companies. Eventually, that seed company will have already the market. Through this production of the right seed through the seed companies, now we are able to produce with farmers. We've registered more than 57,000 farmers, small-scale farmers, medium-scale farmers, even irrigation schemes, even cooperatives. They are able to grow for us. At the moment, we have about 2,700 plus hectares for the same seed, which is the canning variety, which is growing here, which will be multiplied. And we have about 440 community agribusiness advisors in 13 districts and 20 field officers. That production for the 2,700 hectares, we are looking at to be able to do between 3,600 metric tons to over 4,200 to 4,700. Because it's in the beginning, of course we are going to have challenges with some areas here and there because some farmers are actually new in the variety, but we keep on training them through extension officers. Through market-driven demand, now seed companies are able to invest, and they're investing confidently, knowing very well where the seed is going. Even agrochemicals, they have increased, they've invested more because now the training where the farmers are taught the proper agronomical practices, they now know that they need to use some agrochemicals, because before the farmers thought beans is beans, they're traditionally using generational seed. Now that the seed companies are growing the seed that is required, it's us giving the signal to the sciences, the scientists, the researchers, because they will produce according to our demand, according to the market, according to what we are going to offtake. And now that signal is given to the seed organizations. And those seed organizations, they produce because they already a market. PABRA has done as well to come up with such a great initiative that we are able to map out our direction in terms of production, market, quality of seed. That is so imperative. This is through because of PABRA. But also, not just PABRA, there is other developing partners like USAID. They have supported Global Affairs. There is Belinda Gates Foundation. There is the Swedish Aid. So I will take this opportunity and really say thank you.
That was just hello, can you hear me? That was just a small clip to show us as farmers that even smallholder farmers can win. I'm a smallholder farmer, by the way. So it's putting us together into a bunch of all of us. Yes, and we become bakulwas, big ones. So we can win. So the direction, even when I see the youth, I'm excited about the youth, because the youth, at the end of the day, it needs to show where is the money. The money is here. There's plenty chelete. There's a lot of money out there. But you need to just be mapped out where the money is. We have the 440 agripreneurs. You know, these days you don't study to go and look for a job. You study to create a job for yourself and to employ others as well. And in agriculture, that's where the business is, because you're the people who will encourage the farmers, bring information to the farmers, because some of those farmers are not literate as well, and they need your help, who they have already schooled you. So bring back the information to help the farmers, to show them direction, and then you earn money. For every kilogram, it's a business. For every kilogram, there is 20 kwacha or 30 kwacha. So if you have site aggregators, let's say even if it's 100, and each aggregating point is putting 1,500 metric tons. Just imagine times 100, how many metric tons? Whether it's you diversify, it's for cropping, you already have almost 150,000 metric tons. If you're getting 20 kwacha and you're 100 of you, 100 to 400 agripreneurs, just imagine how much money you can make. So you cannot say there is no money for the youth. There's plenty. It's you to make the decision. So our recommendation on continuity, this is the type of investment that we require when it comes to investing into the community. Investment must continue, whether it is seed multiplication, whether it's irrigation, because to grow seed you require proper conducive elements you need a lot of consideration to have good quality seed. So that is rural advisory. What we normally do is we do demonstrations. I keep on insisting that demonstration is the most fun with farmers because you include them to do the job. You don't go tell them, well, now you do this and this. No, 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 no. You do with them, with the community, and the community leaders who are trusted in that community, the leaders, the group headmen, you work with them. That's how we do it. And of course, we do foresight capacity. I think also the biggest challenge has been patient capital. There is no working capital for youth. But I always say if you have a good thing, money will find you. You don't need to look for money if you have a good thing. So patient capital is very, very important to de-risk the farmers, because the farmers normally when they go to collect seed anywhere, at that point in time, they are the most hungry. You know, I always say they are the most hungry at that time. Now you've given them seed to plant. They will sell that seed. They will sell that seed. You are in the queue for fertilizer or in the queue for seed, but at the end of that queue, there's somebody waiting to buy your seed for very little amount, because your need is now. I'm hungry now. I have seed and fertilizer, what do I need? No. If I have some form of patient capital, I'll be able to take that seed and fertilizer and be able to go and plow. So yes, capital is important. Research and development is key to be able to get our results. So the jobs are there, the business is there. Let's continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gloria. So you can really see how empowered women can empower the communities and mass numbers. She's able to work with the more than 100,000 smallholder, supporting them, getting the variety, commercialization. So that's why we are saying innovation is not linear. You have to put all this together in order to get the result. So I think that was an example from Malawi, which she talked about. Maybe the next move is, I think Atu talked about the regional investment. How do we work together? Because how many people have been in Malawi? There's a border between Malawi and Mozambique. It's just a road. If you go from Deza, Ncheu, you drive down is the road. This side is Malawi, this side is Mozambique. It's the same agroecology. It's the same, even people sometimes they go and drink one side, they go back the other side. So that shows how these people are sharing several things in common. But when we come to us in agricultural research or policies, or we say, well, this variety is for Malawi. To cross the other side, you need to do another testing, another 5 years testing. But then people, you are testing, Gloria's farmers have taken the seed after taking 1 or 2 years, they cross with that seed and they plant. So the regionality talked about, the networks are very important. And that's what, again, an investment we should be thinking about. How do we help people to invest in the regional networks? Because the borders are just artificially created, but the agroecology are the same. People are the same. The social context is the same. So that's, again, something we need to think about as an investment, too. So, again, I'm looking again on the pool market, very important. The traders. If I look at, again, I'm sorry to give an example for my crop. The beans come from Uganda to Kenya, from Ethiopia to Kenya. Them, they don't need a passport like us. They can cross the border. One lorry one side, they put on border, the small bicycles. They cross the other side, there's another lorry, and the beans are gone. So that's how this network and networking, investing in research for networks, will help people to enhance food security, trade, and then the country can move forward. So that's something, again, as an investment we're looking for. So in order to go to probably to the closing of the sessions, we are giving also opportunity for you to comment, to share your insight, comment or question as well. Feel free. Was this very, Monica, you want to say something? Yeah.
Thank you very much, JC. Monica Murata is my name. I am with World Vegetable Center, based in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I just wanted to echo what you are saying about sharing technologies. Technologies should have no national boundaries. And I would like to believe as long as the technology works, we don't even need to do much to convince the farmers because they know it works and they'll take it up. So I think the onus is on us to make sure that we are sending clear messages to the farmers. They understand what the technology is about, and there should be no problem in uptake of that technology. I know the problem comes when we are giving conflicting messages. I can give the example of the conservation agriculture, where so many people, this one is saying, don't do this, don't do that, and so forth. So as long as we have standardized information going out to the farmers, we are not confusing them, we are giving them a basket of options, they will pick up what works best for them. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. You want to say something?
Yes, thank you very much, Jean-Claude. Again, Soyang Bendanekun from the World Vegetable Center. I think it is quite interesting, these discussions and recommendations. I can give one example, which we have also been piloting at the World Vegetable Center. That's the citizen science, in which we use the tri-coat approach developed by Biodiversity International. It helps to actually to bring the innovation to farmers. They test it. They also give feedback on their preferences, the traits that work for them, and new traits that they want research to work on. But in the end, when they have selected the most performing varieties according to the local context, they now need some policy framework to facilitate the use of those materials. When we talk about seed, there are seed policies, and sometimes that refrain, I mean the trend, when the research community has developed a material. And that's where policymakers need to also...
the movement of seed should also be monitored so that we avoid dispersal of diseases and some of the insects. So it's very good for us to know also when we want to move from one point to increase production in different parts, so that we disseminate our technology to different places. Also, we have to be very careful in which way we are going to move our seeds and monitor them and to get the clean seeds that will help farmers. At last, we know farmers, they're in need of high yield. So high yield will be affected with this pest. If we don't monitor well, there is a lot of problem we are going to occur. So it's good for our policymakers to squeeze a little bit and to make sure that farmers can get the cream bucket that they will help them to get the clean seeds and in a proper way and good monitors so that we can move our agriculture in a right way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is really a very interesting session, and I think it really tackles an area where we are still quite weak, and we need a lot to be done. I see the farmers in Africa should really evolve as business people. It's no longer subsistence at all, and that will not be encouraging. And I think the way we should work, we should start from developing products based on the market needs, so very carefully design it in a way that there will be market for it, deliver it to farmers. So with demonstrations and daily engagement of the farmers to test and help in the selection process. But most importantly, is the link with market. So we make sure that when they have a product, they have a market for it. And they are trained to do that. And all of this chain will require supporting policies, empowering policies to make sure that it happens. From the time we are developing a product, we need policies that can help us to move fast. And then farmers should have access to markets for inputs, cheap markets. And that is also lots of policies, policy change and adjustment will be very, very useful. And then looking at how farmers access the market, I think our farmers are really, really overused by middlemen whenever they have any product. I work on rice, but I can see that the farm gate price that the farmers are getting at the gate is less than 30% of the revenue of the total value chain. When you look at that at other countries, say South Asia, it is more than 60% of the value chain goes back to farmers. So there's a real issues here, and I think I see empowering farmers is not giving them products and training them to do it well, but make sure also they are linked to a market that can really benefit them and encourage them to continue producing.
Thank you, Ismail. Good. So now, maybe to sum up what we have discussed today, yeah, investment strategy. Oh, right. Okay.
I'm sorry to stop you, but I felt it's important to say something at this closing moment. I'm an African, total African. The destiny of Africa is very important. And I think that many a times we fall in the lines of international politics. I say this without any apology. There are issues where we have opportunities to have increased our productivities. But unfortunately, we feel so pulled back by so many things that are not scientifically proven, myths rather than truths. Technology is the only way to improve productivity the whole world. It has been the engine of agricultural productivity. No doubt, we need to be careful in use of technology, but we must not stand as a hindrance to technologies that will improve productivity. I say this because many of us have come with the mind strongly to stand against many technologies that are improving livelihoods in many parts of the world. We have traveled across the world. We've integrated with them. We've seen how the technologies have changed life. And yet, we are used in our own continent to believe we should block these technologies from use by even our own people. So we continue to remain where we remain. Please, think technology with a different lens. Think for the future of Africa. We cannot go with the technologies of whole and, things have to change. If these youths must embrace agriculture, then the innovation must come in. We can make that impact only when we embrace the technology and become innovations. Let's weigh all options of technology and use them very wisely. I have said a word. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. I'm also another patriotic African. Just to follow up on what has just been said, I think we need to re-engineer our technology transfer mechanisms. For instance, in SADC and COMESA, we do have harmonized seed systems, but we are not taking full advantage of that for shared prosperity, which is also advocated by our Malabo Declaration. So I think we need a re-engineering there. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a very important. We have the policies, but we don't make them work. So, but again, that's what he was talking about. There are people who stops us. How do we move? That's another topic. So I think now we are done, and then I think what I want to maybe share with you, right? Yeah, I just want to thank all of you. Sorry to have somehow stopped because of the video, but I think at the end it returned to be good, and you enjoyed. Thank you for your participation. We really thank you for all you have done and to listen to us. If you want this, this brief is available. The content we just talked, it's available on the website. I'm not sure if we're able to get the emails of people here, but we can share with you widely so that you can have it. We really appreciate, again, the UN Foundation to have brought us together in order to get this document done. It was done with their support. Otherwise, many thanks. Enjoy your break. Thank you very much. And also thank the participants who are, the speakers who are here and the ones who are online too. Thank you. Yeah. Well done. Well done.
When can we give our email for the presentations? I would have loved to get, madam.
Yeah. Just, do you have a card?
I don't have a card on me here. That's the difficult part. But my email is easy. Please, I will write.